Greetings, I'm Professor K, and in this short video presentation, we're going to see how we can go about completing the risk assessment assignment in Module 3 in about 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm showing you here is a blank form of a sample risk assessment. Now you can make this as complicated or you can make this as simple as you want. It all depends on how you want to be perceived if you actually have to do a risk assessment for an organization. All right, now if you don't have a risk assessment for organization, you can use your home network. You can think of it as a small office home network environment, or you can visualize having a large IT infrastructure with 50 users, 20 servers, routers, switches, the whole 9 yards. But you have basically a sample or a simple network in your own house. All right. You have a modem, which is nothing more than a router that allows you to receive traffic from the internet into your private network, much the same way as a firewall or a router would do. If you have an access point, well, then you have a switch. The switch allows you to allow multiple connections to your modem so that you can have more than just one person gain access to the outside network at a time. All right. So you see this risk assessment plan that I'm showing you here. Now, if you want to write this up, it's very easy. All right. So you can just open up a blank document inside of your Word program, like so. Let's go ahead and minimize this. Let's go back over here to the risk assessment. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say we've got 6 columns, and let's say we've got 7 rows. All right. So go back up here to your Word document, and you're going to insert, and you're going to create a table. You're going to open this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's fine. Just like that. Well, there's basically the shell of a risk assessment. Now all you got to do is either copy and paste or just type in the title for each one of those columns. All right. Just fill in the columns going across the top up here with the information for your risk assessment. If you want to, you can change the color of this. We can do a shading like so, and I can change the color to anything I want, like that. And now as you type in the words of each column, when you type in the title of each column, the space inside the column will expand automatically for you. All right. Then all you have to do is go down here and add in your risk. Now you can look at your current risk assessment as being any of these. Now, some of these have just very common types of risks associated with the assessment. So it could be internal attacks from users, denial of service attack from the outside, loss of connectivity. Let's take a look at here. So we have system failure, overheating in the server room, malicious human interference, a DOS attack, natural disasters, a flooding. Now you have to think of the area that you live in. Are you living in a hurricane, a typhoon type area that is susceptible to frequent storms of those types, tornadoes, flooding? If you live in a flood zone, well then flooding should be on your risk assessment. And then you're going to talk about how are you going to mitigate? What is the vulnerability? So if the server room's in the basement, well then the vulnerability would be high. If you have the server room on the 3rd floor or a higher floor, then you could say it's either going to be moderate or low. How critical is it? Well, it's critical because it's the business that we're talking about. If you lose the infrastructure, well then the business isn't going to have much of a chance of continuing on. What happens if it does flood? All services will be impacted. Likelihood? Last flood in the area happened 10 years ago. Well, that's a pretty good likelihood. A low probability would be that you live in a floodplain that happens every 500 years or every 100 years, you see. And what's the risk? Well, the risk of having a flood in a floodplain that happens every 100 years or 500 years would probably be pretty low. Control recommendations. It's not needed. All right. So you can go through here and you can select 3 or 4 of these just for your home network. You don't have to have 20 or 30. You put in what you think are the most important risk or threats to your home network, and you just fill in the blanks. Now, for a home network, you should be concerned with something like a malicious attack, ransomware, loss of data, hardware crashing, things of this nature. And these are the same things that a business would be concerned with. Your little home network is no different than a big organizational network. They're concerned with the same thing. You let your kids on your computer, they download the ransomware. All right, well, that's an internal user problem. So what are the chances of accidental human interference? Accidental file deletion. If you allow somebody to come by your house and use your computer to check their email, and they open a malicious link that infects your computer, well, that's a real problem. So you have to think about this in the context that you're working in a network environment while you're at home. You see, so just try to visualize what's going on with your home network with what's actually happening in a large or medium-sized organization. So the bottom line is, with just a few ideas, a blank template, and you can go out and look at these other risk assessments for IT, that you can get enough information to complete your risk assessment. Now remember, this is all fictional. You don't really have this company. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're trying to write up a risk assessment or a disaster recovery plan for the organization you work for. That's fine. But if you don't, then you're going to have to visualize in your mind's eye what the risk assessment is going to look like for that particular organization's IT infrastructure. So if you have any questions or you have any concerns, don't hesitate to reach out and contact me, and I'll see everybody up in their discussions. Thank you.